We got some water. I got a gnat here somewhere. I got some water here. We want that water to be warm. That water's not warm enough. So I want the water to be about 110 to 150 degrees. Now what if the water's like 75 degrees?
Doesn't open.
Huh?
The yeast
Doesn't get crazy.
No, it'll work. It just takes a long time. Takes a long time. Right? So it'll just take longer. What if it's like 130?
Kills it.
Kill it.
No, that won't kill it until it gets to be like 140 or above. But 130, yeah, some of them are gonna not like it too much, and and you're gonna have pockets of heat throughout your dough and stuff. You want to make sure that it's right about 110, kind of easy going, And so it's about 110, 115. Go from like 95 to 115. You could tell just by feeling it. You can. Oh my God, you're burning up, right? You know what temperature that is, right? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put in our ingredients. Now, these are our main ingredients right here for making bread. You got sugar, you got salt, you got yeast, and you got water. Those are the main ingredients. You can make any bread on the planet with that. When we add these two ingredients, it changes its name from a straight dough to a laminated dough. Laminated dough. Everybody say laminated dough. Laminated doughs are richer. They have eggs in them. They have butter in them. Delicious like that, right? The only thing is when you incorporate these ingredients in there, you got to make sure that you incorporate them intermittently, right? You can't just throw them in there, okay? So you want to do it kind of intermittently. Now the thing about the yeast is, again, we talked about the water being warm. There's a few other things that you need to know. And I always remember it by the acronym FATTOM, F-A-T-T-O-M, right? I already looked on the roster. There's nobody named Tom in here, so we're good. All right. So need food in there. Where's the food? Oh, sugar. Here's some food. Yay. Simple carbohydrates. That's good. Let's put some food in there. Okay. All right. Then we need proper levels of acidity. Well, let's not use water that comes from the tap that doesn't have a filter like we do here, right? Because that has a lot of chlorine in it and stuff like that. High levels of acidity, high levels of base or high levels of acidity, not good. You want it right in the middle of the pH scale. You don't want to be putting lemon juice or lemon zest in there, proper levels of acidity. Then the two T's are time and temperature. You need time. So it's going to take a long time. And temperature, temperature is what? 95 to 115, right around there. It's perfect temperature in there, right? And then oxygen, right? That's why this package comes in a vacuum packed container. There's no oxygen in here, so it stays alive, right? It stays alive. So oxygen and then moisture. It goes dormant actually in zero oxygen environment. It'll go dormant. It won't die. It'll just go dormant on you. All right, and then moisture, right? Moisture is the water, right? So we're gonna go ahead and add our yeast to that. And what my recipe would say to do is to wait until that foams and bubbles. Well, why do you wait until that foams and bubbles? You want to make sure the yeast is still alive. Because if the yeast is still alive, then you could reevaluate your yeast source, go buy more yeast, and what have you thrown away? Just a little bit of sugar and water. Not a big deal. But if you make the entire loaf of bread and you're letting it sit on the counter and it's not doing nothing, right? And you sit in the corner of the kitchen, you're never going to get this. That's the demonstration I followed exactly. Right? Isn't that true? No, I don't know. All right, so the salt will kill the yeast. Because it actually draws moisture out of things, right, and stuff like that. Put it on a cut. See what happens. Oh, it hurts, right? So go ahead and put the salt in the flour and disperse that, so it doesn't, right? And when we measure the flour, we fluff our flour, we scoop our flour with the scoop, and we swoop, right, or flat something flat. Fluff, scoop, swoop. Don't go packing it in there. Don't be using one of these because this doesn't work, right? You want to use a dry measure, right? Can you show her one of the dry measures?
But do you have to do that if you're going to weigh it instead?
If you're going to weigh it, no. And actually, that's a better way to do it. If you weigh everything, that's best. Most of my recipes that I have in my repertoire are all by weight, but people hate that. I mean, my students in the recreational cooking classes are like, well, weigh it? What are you talking about, weigh it? And people don't like to weigh it. But weighing is way more accurate. Weigh it. Whenever you can, weigh it. All right? So anyway, we're gonna take the dry measure right there. Scoop, swoop. Good. All right, I'm gonna take my eggs and just kind of beat them up a little bit here. I'm gonna go ahead and add half my flour. I already know my yeast is good. I'm gonna add half my flour. I'm gonna add the dough hook attachment. I'm gonna switch this on about halfway until that starts to go. Once that goes a little bit and starts getting, this is called a like a base almost.
How do you store your yeast after you've opened it?
I store it in a plastic container like this and put it inside the refrigerator. And this will last about a month, no more. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put my butter in. Then I'm gonna put another third of my flour in. All right, then I'm gonna put my eggs in. Work clean, work neat, work organized. And the rest of my flour. Yeah, we're making a mess here. Oh, we're doing good. Keep going, Miranda.
Is it true if you beat it on a high speed, it's going to get really tough?
Well, you know what? You're gonna develop the gluten, and you want to develop the gluten. I'm gonna need one more handful of flour, huh? Not enough. We fluff too much. So did you do 3.5 cups of flour, Miranda? But you want to look at it because the flour is a little different and all that stuff. So you know what? Just give me a half a scoop. That scoop right there. Yeah, because this way it won't. No. Don't put it there. Just give me the scoop itself. Yeah, like that. Alright, so I'm going to add just a little more flour. Because with this challah, I want it to actually start to pull away from the side of the bowl. You can always add more flour. Once you add too much, then that's when your bread starts getting tough, when you got too much flour.
Too much flour
In there,
okay.
yeah. But we are developing the gluten in there. Alright, we're good now. So it's starting to come together. As soon as it comes together, then we can get it out of here, and we could start to working on the board. Now what I do is I take the flour and I put it out on my board like this, and I do it like I'm rolling dice like this. Because if you do it like this, people think you're weird, you know. No. Cameron's over there. All right, so we go like this with the bread. Get it out of the bowl and put it right here. All of it out of the bowl. Now we got to organize the gluten. Now, as you can see right here, you got gluten, and gluten is the starchy strands of protein that run different directions, and one will run that way, and the other one will run that way, and the other one will run that way, and the other one will run that way. What you want to do is you want to get them all going the same direction. You all want to get them going this way, up, and then down. All right. So that's what we want to do. We want to get this thing up and down, up and down. So what we want to do is we want to tuck everything into the middle. All right. So I'm going to put a little bit of flour on top. All right. And I'm just going to go ahead and go like this. I'm going to use the palm of my hand. I'm going to push right into the middle. I'm going to turn it, push, turn it, push, turn it, push. Right? And it's funny because of the fact that when I teach my artisan bread class, I'm kneading, chef. No, there's a reason why you knead. You need to not only work the gluten and to develop the gluten a little bit, but to also organize the gluten, right? So I'm organizing the gluten. So I'm going all one direction. See how I tuck that in? I tuck it in. I learned this from Mats, the pastry chef, and his fingers were only about that short. If you have really long fingers, then it's not as hard. It's not as easy. And he would do 2 at once. Mats, the pastry chef, right? Now you keep going until it starts to like tear, you know, and it's not going to get too tough. Let me show you how when it starts to tear. Keep going. It's hard to do with laminated dough because it has such lubricants in there and everything. See how it starts to look like cottage cheese right there a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
All right, that's when it's starting to tear. You've stretched the gluten enough, and now it's tearing. So stop. What are you doing? Stop. Right? And then turn it over, and then go like this, and then I gave you that bowl and I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. The big one. All right. So I have this, and that's my dough right there. Okay. Can I trade you? Can I have that back again? right, so I'm gonna take some olive oil, any kind of oil, olive oil, whatever. Olive oil because it's kosher, right? Oh, by the way, this is kosher for dairy because I put butter in there, but if you wanted it kosher, you'd add margarine instead of butter, okay? I don't know who keeps kosher, anybody? Nobody keeps kosher here? I'm an Irish Catholic boy from Long Island, so I don't. But if you're making challah, a lot of people that are making challah keep kosher for some reason, right? Actually, I learned how to make this from Rabbi Fuss's wife. He runs the Chabad Jewish Community Center in Riverside, California, right? And I could hang out with Tippy, his wife, and all that stuff all day long. But if I go to shake her hand, she'll go, right? You can't touch another man's wife, ever, right? So I don't. I'm cool. I behave, Anyway, so you go like this, and right. Anyway, I'm gonna cover that, and you can cover that with a cloth. But since what's gonna happen is that it's gonna give off. It's gonna take in oxygen. It's gonna give off alcohol and carbon dioxide, right? Alcohol and carbon dioxide as it goes. And what's gonna happen is it's gonna start to. As it gives off the alcohol and the carbon dioxide, it's going to develop pockets of air inside. And the pockets of air inside are going to make the whole thing kind of go rise. And when it rises double in size, then what we're going to do is we're going to knead it again like we just did. That's called punching it down or getting the air out. And what we're doing is we're getting all the excess oxygen and carbon dioxide out of there. Carbon dioxide and alcohol out of there. Not out of there, but you kind of let it go so it kind of dissipates a little bit. So there's room to create more, because the more there is of the alcohol and the carbon dioxide, the more flavor the bread develops. And then also there's going to be pockets of heat. You're going to have hot spots, and you want to get all those pockets of hot spots to be evenly distributed throughout the bread itself. So you punch it down once, and once you punch it down once, then you let it rise not all the way, but about a third, and then you're ready to go. And then I'll show you how to make the 6 braided challah, and then we'll bake it in the oven, and we'll have a delicious feast here. All right. Do me a favor, Brenda. Put a bag in this trash, please. All right.